The silver chains burned something fierce against my wrists as I knelt there on that cold marble floor. My knees had gone numb 20 minutes back, but that was the least of my worries. The whole royal court was staring down at me, like I was something the cat dragged in, which, fair enough, I probably looked it. My silver white hair was matted with sweat and blood that wasn't mine, and my once nice purple dress was torn 6 ways from Sunday. Victoria Mason, Michael said, his voice booming through the grand hall. Not Michael to me, of course. King Michael Miller to a nobody like me. He sat rigid on that crystal throne, the one that's supposed to be carved from a single diamond bigger than a horse. Probably just fancy glass, if you ask me, but nobody was asking me anything except how I'd killed his bride-to-be. You stand accused of the murder of Lady Cathy Robinson on her wedding night. His green eyes were bloodshot. Hadn't slept, I'd wager. How do you plead? I swallowed hard. My throat felt like sandpaper. Not guilty, Your Majesty. A ripple of whispers swept through the court. Someone spat on the floor behind me. They found you standing over her body, he said, leaning forward. Her blood on your hands? That part was true enough. I'd been there all right, but not how they figured. The chains clinked as I shifted my weight, trying to find some relief for my aching knees. I was trying to help her, I said. I saw it happening before it did. More whispers, louder this time. Someone muttered, "Witch," just loud enough for me to hear. See, that's always been my curse, or gift, depending on who you ask. I get these visions, dreams sometimes, or just flashes when I'm wide awake. Been happening since I was a kid. Most folks in town learned to steer clear of the weird girl with the glowing purple eyes, who knew things she shouldn't. Convenient, said a tall man to Michael's right. Lord Allen, I think, silver-haired and snake-eyed. The Omega claims her unnatural abilities led her to the scene. Michael raised his hand, silencing the man. You expect us to believe you foresaw Lady Robinson's murder and arrived too late to prevent it. I tried. My voice cracked. I ran all the way from the servants' quarters when I saw it. But by the time I got there, I trailed off, remembering how she'd looked, sprawled across those silk sheets. The blood so dark it was almost black in the moonlight. Lies, someone shouted from the gallery. I squared my shoulders best I could with my hands bound. I'm not the killer. I saw who did it. That got his attention. His eyes narrowed, jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle jumping in his cheek. Your Majesty, came a voice from beside the throne, some advisor in fancy robes. This is a waste of the court's time. The evidence is overwhelming. The ceremonial execution should. Let her speak, Michel cut in, his voice dangerously quiet. This was my only shot. They were going to drag me out and chop my head off if I couldn't convince him. Nothing to lose now. She woke up, I said, the words tumbling out fast. Lady Cathy. She woke up when they entered her chamber. She was terrified, but not surprised. She recognized them. Michael's face didn't change, but he leaned forward slightly. The killer used your ceremonial dagger, I continued. The one with the emerald in the hilt that's supposed to be handed down since your great-grandfather's time. A murmur swept through the court. That detail hadn't been announced. The king's eyes widened just a fraction. She tried to fight back, I said, the vision replaying behind my eyes. Scratched their face, left marks across their right cheek. The king's gaze flicked to Lord Allen, who stood stone-faced beside the throne, no scratches on him that I could see. And as she was dying, I whispered, but somehow my voice carried through the silent hall. She whispered a name. What name? Michael demanded, on his feet now. I hesitated, my eyes darting around the room. Telling tales on nobility was a quick way to end up dead. Even if they believed me, but I was dead anyway if I didn't. I couldn't hear it clear, I admitted. But there's something else. She was holding something when she died. Something the killer didn't notice she'd grabbed. Michael descended the 3 steps from his throne and approached me. The guards tensed, hands on sword hilts, but he waved them back. What was she holding? He asked, close enough now that I could smell the clove oil in his beard. A silver locket, I said, small, heart-shaped. There's a portrait inside. His face changed then. Something flashed across it. Recognition, maybe, or fear. Search her chambers again, he barked to a guard. Look for a silver locket. Lord Allen stepped forward. Your Majesty. Surely you don't believe the ravings of this. Silence. The king didn't even look at him. His eyes, green as summer leaves, were fixed on me. How do you know these things? The dagger, the locket. These details weren't shared beyond my most trusted advisors. I met his gaze steady as I could with my heart hammering, like it wanted out of my chest. I told you, I see things. Been cursed with it since I was a girl. He studied me for what felt like forever, then straightened up. Take her to the Tower of Truth. The court erupted. The tower was where they tested magic folk, where they separated genuine seers from frauds. Most who went in didn't come out right in the head, if they came out at all. Your Majesty, Lord Alan protested. The law is clear on the punishment for regicide. She hasn't been proven guilty yet, Michael said coldly. If her gift is genuine, she'll reveal the true killer under the truth spells. If she's lying. He didn't finish the thought. Didn't need to. The guards yanked me to my feet, my legs screaming in pain after kneeling so long. As they dragged me toward the door, I caught one last glimpse of Michael's face. He wasn't angry anymore. He was calculating, weighing possibilities. And somehow that scared me more than his rage had. The Tower of Truth waited for me. And whatever came after, I just hoped I'd live long enough to see the real killer pay for what they'd done to Lady Cathy. They dragged me up the winding staircase of the Tower of Truth, like I was nothing more than a sack of grain. My knees still burned from kneeling on that marble floor, and the silver chains bit into my wrists. Each step sent a jolt through my aching body. Move faster, witch, one guard growled, shoving me forward when I stumbled. The Tower of Truth. Even growing up in the servants' quarters, we'd all heard the whispers. Ancient stone pulled from the heart of the mountains, enchanted by the first king's mages. They said no lie could survive inside these walls. That's why they brought the worst criminals here. And the gifted ones. People like me. The staircase finally opened into a circular room at the top of the tower. Windows cut into the stone on all sides, letting in the fading evening light. The floor was etched with strange symbols that seemed to shift when I wasn't looking directly at them. In the center stood a simple wooden chair. Sit, the taller guard ordered, pushing me toward it. I lowered myself onto the hard seat. They didn't bother chaining me to it. Where would I run? The door was the only way out unless I fancied a 100-foot drop. As soon as I settled, something changed. The air felt heavier, pressing against my skin. The symbols on the floor began to glow with a faint blue light. And inside my head, gods, it felt like someone had uncorked my skull and poured in lightning. The visions that had tormented me since childhood. Flashes of futures and past that came and went like summer storms, suddenly roared through me all at once. Images flooded my mind, sharper than they'd ever been before. It was like a dam breaking, and I was drowning in the flood. I gasped, gripping the edges of the chair. My fingernails dug into the wood. It's starting, one guard whispered to the other. They backed away, making signs against evil. I'd always fought to control my visions. All my life, I'd pushed them down, tried to seem normal. But here, in this ancient tower, they broke free. Like the stones themselves were pulling the gift out of me, stretching it, strengthening it. The heavy door swung open. King Michael strode in, his emerald-trimmed cloak billowing behind him. Lord Alan followed at his heels like a shadow, his thin face pinched with disapproval. "Leave us," Michael commanded, and the guards practically tripped over themselves getting out. Michael circled me slowly, those green eyes of his taking in everything, my torn dress, my bloodied hands, the way I trembled. Not from fear, though, from whatever the tower was doing to me. "Can you speak?" he asked finally. "Yes, Your Majesty." My voice sounded strange to my ears, like it was coming from underwater. Lord Alan stepped forward. "This is a waste of time, Michael. The evidence against her is—" "Enough, Liam." Michael raised his hand. "We are here to find truth, not confirm what we think we know." He turned back to me. "They say this tower reveals lies and amplifies gifts. If you truly are gifted as you claim, then show me. Show me what happened to Lady Cathy." I closed my eyes, not because I needed to, but because I couldn't bear to look at him while I sank into the visions. They were waiting for me now, organized and clear like never before. "I see her chamber," I whispered. "The moon is high. Lady Cathy is sleeping. But then something strange happened. The vision didn't start with the murder like before. It went backward, pulling me deeper into events I hadn't witnessed. Wait, I gasped. I'm seeing more. Earlier that day, Lady Cathy is alive. She's in the royal library. Michael stepped closer. What is she doing? Reading, no, searching. Behind a false panel in the bookcase. There's a hidden compartment. My words tumbled out as fast as the images came. She's found something. Letters, documents with royal seals. She's shocked by what she's reading. Lord Alan made a dismissive sound. This proves nothing. Anyone could invent. She puts the papers in a silver locket, I continued, ignoring him. The one she wore around her neck. It opens wider than it appears. Mikul's breath caught. That was her grandmother's locket. No one knew it had a secret compartment except Cathy and myself. The visions pulled me along, faster now. She's walking through the palace gardens. Looking over her shoulder, she meets someone, a serving girl, gives her a sealed note, says if anything happens to her, take it directly to you, Your Majesty. Who was the serving girl? Michael demanded. I strained to see. Young, dark hair, a scar across her palm from a kitchen accident. Eliza, Michael breathed. Find her, he ordered Lord Alan. Alan's face tightened. Your Majesty, surely you don't believe. Now, Liam, Lord Alan bowed stiffly and left, but not before giving me a look that would have withered an oak tree. As the door closed behind him, the visions grew stronger still. I saw clandestine meetings in darkened corridors, whispers exchanged behind tapestries, gold-changing hands. There's a conspiracy, I said, my voice shaking. Lady Cathy discovered something about the trade agreements with Westland. Michael knelt before me, all pretense of royal distance gone. What did she find? Someone has been skimming coin, massive amounts, and I faltered as the next vision slammed into me. Poison. I see someone in a hidden chamber, grinding herbs into a fine powder. Nightshade and something else. It was meant for you, Your Majesty. At the wedding feast. His face went pale. Cathy was killed because she discovered this? I nodded, lost in the torrent of images. She confronted someone, trusted the wrong person, and when she threatened to expose them, the vision shifted to the murder scene I'd already witnessed. The struggle, the knife, Lady Cathy's final moments. But now I saw more. I saw the killer's face clearly as he leaned over her dying body, retrieving the locket from around her neck. Lord Alan, I whispered. It was Lord Alan. He has a scratch on his face, but it's covered with a glamour spell, a magical concealment. Michael stood abruptly, his hand going to the hilt of his ceremonial sword. Are you certain? Before I could answer, the door burst open. Lord Alan stood there, his face contorted with rage, a naked blade in his hand. Lies, he spat. She bewitches you, Mitchell. But the king's eyes had fallen to something clutched in Alan's left hand, a silver locket on a broken chain. The serving girl is dead, Alan said, advancing slowly, just like this witch will be. The glamour, I said urgently. Your Majesty, in this tower, magic cannot hide. Look at his face. Michael stared at his advisor, his oldest friend. As if responding to his scrutiny, the air around Alan's right cheek shimmered, revealing 3 deep scratch marks. Alan lunged forward with a roar. Everything happened at once. Michael drawing his sword, Alan charging, the locket falling to the floor. The tower's symbols flared blindingly bright. And in that moment, I understood everything. How Alan had manipulated his way into power. How he'd planned to kill both Cathy and Mikkel. How he'd framed me when his initial plan failed. I saw the whole pattern, every thread of betrayal, laid out before me like a tapestry. Guards, Michael bellowed, parrying Alan's wild strike. The tower door crashed open again. Guards poured in, surrounding Alan, forcing him to his knees. Mikkel stood over him, breathing hard. The tower has shown us the truth, old friend. Alan's face twisted with hatred as he glared at me. You should have died with her, witch. Take him to the dungeons, Mikkel ordered, and remove those chains from Lady Victoria. Lady Victoria, not the witch or the prisoner. As the guards dragged Alan away and others moved to unlock my shackles, I realized the visions weren't fading. If anything, they were growing stronger, branching out into possibilities, futures that might be. I saw myself standing beside the throne. I saw dangers coming from beyond our borders. I saw choices that would shape the kingdom for generations. The Tower of Truth had changed me. Or perhaps it had simply awakened what was always there, waiting. The visions hit different this time. Before, they'd always been like looking through dirty glass, fuzzy shapes and muffled sounds that faded quick as they came. But there in that tower, with those strange symbols glowing beneath my feet, everything sharpened. I gripped the wooden chair hard enough my knuckles went white. The room around me, Michael and Lord Alan, the stone walls, the windows, it all disappeared. Instead, I saw Kathy. Not her body sprawled across silk sheets, but Kathy alive, determined, moving through the castle with purpose. "I'm seeing her," I whispered, my voice sounding far away even to my own ears. "Lady Kathy, she's in a corridor I don't recognize." Michael leaned forward. "When is this? Before her death?" I nodded, eyes still closed, following her ghost through stone hallways. 3 days before the wedding, she's checking over her shoulder, making sure no one sees her. In my vision, Kathy paused at an ornate door, glancing both ways before producing a small key from inside her sleeve. Her hands trembled slightly as she unlocked it. "She's entering Lord Alan's private chambers," I said, the words tumbling out as I watched. She shouldn't be there. She knows it." Lord Alan made a noise beside the king. "This is absurd. Lady Kathy would never." "Be quiet," Michael snapped. "Let her speak." The vision pulled me deeper. Kathy moved through Alan's sitting room, past the plush chairs and polished tables. She wasn't searching randomly. She knew exactly what she was looking for. She went straight to a painting on the wall, an ugly battle scene with soldiers dying in a field. She carefully removed it, revealing a small wall safe. "There's a safe behind a painting," I said. "A battle scene. She knows the combination." My heart pounded as Kathy's slender fingers spun the dial. Left, right, left again. The safe clicked open. How could she possibly know my private? Alan started, then caught himself. I felt Michael's eyes shift to him, but I couldn't stop now. The vision held me tight as Kathy reached inside the safe and withdrew a stack of letters. Her face, always so composed, crumpled as she read. Page after page she grew paler. "Letters," I whispered. "Dozens of them. Some with broken seals, royal seals from other kingdoms. Westland, Nordica, our enemies." The words flowed from me like water. Military positions, troop movements, defense plans for the Northern Passage. All our weaknesses, written out plain as day. "No," Michael's voice was barely audible. In my mind, Kathy's hands shook as she read one particular document. Her eyes widened in horror. She found a letter detailing payment. Gold. Thousands in gold for... I swallowed hard. "For the location of the secret passage into your private chambers, Your Majesty. The one only you and your most trusted advisors know about." The king's breath caught. I heard him stand, pacing the stone floor. I watched as Kathy carefully folded several of the most damning letters, tucking them into a hidden pocket in her dress. She replaced the others, closed the safe, and hung the painting back in its exact position. "She's taking some of the letters, just enough to prove what she found. She's terrified but determined." The vision shifted, jumping forward in time. Now Kathy stood in her own chambers, writing furiously by candlelight. She's writing everything down, what she found, what it means. My voice caught. She knows she's in danger. She writes, "If anything happens to me, know it was him. L.A. He sells our secrets while pretending loyalty." Lord Alan's voice cut through, ice cold. "This is a fabrication. Your Majesty, surely you don't believe..." I said, "Be quiet," Michael hissed. The scene before me changed again. I saw Kathy on her wedding night, alone in her chamber, waiting for the king. The silver locket around her neck contained the evidence she'd gathered. She planned to tell Mikhail everything that night. Then the door opened. "She thought it was you coming to her," I said, my voice breaking. "But it was him, Lord Alan." I watched it all unfold again. The argument, the struggle, the flash of the ceremonial dagger. This time I saw what I'd missed before. The calculated precision in Alan's movements, the way he positioned her body, the way he carefully cut her in patterns that would seem like a crime of passion. He killed her to silence her, I said, the truth spilling out like blood. But he made it look like a jealous woman might have done it. Someone like me. He knew I'd had visions before, that I'd try to help if I sensed danger. He counted on me rushing in. He waited until I found her, then raised the alarm. I opened my eyes then, the tower room swimming back into focus. Michael stood frozen, his face ashen. Lord Alan remained perfectly still beside him, his expression a mask of concerned innocence. But there was something in his eyes now, a cold calculation I hadn't noticed before. Your Majesty, Alan said smoothly, this woman is clearly disturbed. These fabrications— The letters, I interrupted, my voice stronger now. They're still there, some of them, anyway, behind the battle painting. And there's more. I turned to Michael. Check his right boot. There's a hidden compartment in the heel. He keeps a key there, for a room in the lower town where he meets his contacts. Alan's composure slipped, just for an instant. His hand twitched toward his boot before he caught himself. This is outrageous, he said, but his voice had lost its smooth confidence. Michael looked between us, his face hardening into something terrible. Guards, he called, and the door opened immediately. Search Lord Alan. Start with his right boot. Alan took a step backward. Michael, my friend, we've known each other since we were boys. Would you take the word of this witch over mine? The guards hesitated, looking to their king. Now, Michael roared. It happened fast after that. The guards moved toward Alan, who suddenly pulled a dagger from his sleeve. He lunged not at Mitchell, but at me, knowing I was the real threat. I threw myself sideways out of the chair as the blade sliced through the air where my throat had been. Alan never got a second chance. The guards tackled him to the ground, the dagger skittering across the stone floor. As they pinned his arms, Mikkel himself knelt and pulled off Alan's right boot. He turned it over, examined it carefully, then pressed something on the heel. A small compartment popped open. A key fell out. Michael stood, the small iron key clutched in his fist, his face a storm of rage and betrayal. My closest advisor, he said, his voice dangerously quiet. My friend. Alan stopped struggling against the guards. His face changed, the mask of loyalty dropping away to reveal something cold and contemptuous. You never did pay attention to the things that matter, Michael, he said. Always so concerned with honor and righteousness. There's no profit in those. I watched Michael's face as the full weight of the betrayal hit him. This was a man who'd stood at his side for years, who'd advised him on matters of state, who'd been invited to his wedding. The shock in his eyes gave way to a fury I could feel from across the room. When the door closed behind them, Mikkel turned to me. The anger was still there, but something else too. Confusion, wonder. How did you see all that? He asked quietly. Those visions? They were more than glimpses, weren't they? I nodded, still trying to steady my breathing. The tower did something to me, to my gift. It's like a dam breaking. I'm seeing everything now, not just fragments. Michael stared at me for a long moment, his expression unreadable. Then he extended his hand to help me up from where I'd fallen. Lady Victoria, he said, and the title still sounded strange to my ears. I believe we have much to discuss. The vision came over me like someone dumped ice water down my spine. 1 second I was sitting in that wooden chair in the Tower of Truth, with the king standing over me, and the next I was watching Lady Cathy's last moments play out like I was right there in the room with her. I can see it all now, I whispered, gripping the chair arms till my knuckles went white. The murder, I can see every detail. King Michael stepped closer. Tell me what you see, Lady Victoria. The bridal chamber swam into focus. It was all done up fancy with white flowers and silk hangings for the wedding night. Candles burning low, casting long shadows across the walls. The bed turned down, waiting for the king who never came. It's the night of the wedding, I said, my voice going all hollow like it does when the visions take me deep. Lady Cathy's in her chamber. She's still in her wedding dress, but she's taken off the veil and the fancy jewels. She's pacing, worried about something. I could see her clear as day, that beautiful dark-haired woman in white, her face drawn tight with worry. She kept glancing at the door like she was expecting someone. She's not ready for bed, I continued. She's waiting, not for you, Your Majesty. She's waiting for someone else. The door to the chamber opened slow and careful in my vision. I watched Lord Alan slip inside, closing it soft behind him. He had a key in his hand, a master key that shouldn't have been his. It's Lord Alan. He's got a key to her room. She doesn't look surprised to see him. She expected him to come. Lord Alan, still kneeling between the guards on the tower floor, made a choking sound. The real one, not the one in my vision. But I couldn't stop now. The pictures were flowing through me, and I had to let them out. Lady Cathy looks at him and says, I wondered if you'd have the nerve to face me tonight. I was repeating her exact words now, my voice changing to match hers. She's not afraid. She's angry. The king leaned in closer. What does Alan say to her? In my vision, Lord Alan stood tall and cold by the door. His face didn't match the loyal advisor I'd seen in court. This was the face of a stranger, calculating, hard. He tells her, You should have left well enough alone, my lady. Some secrets aren't meant to be discovered. I watched Lady Cathy lift her chin, proud even in danger. She tells him she found the letters hours before the ceremony, found them hidden in his chambers when she went looking. My breath came faster. She says she knows he's been selling information to Westland for years. Military secrets, palace layouts, the names of spies. The king's face hardened beside me, but I barely noticed. I was too deep in the vision now. Lady Cathy tells him, I planned to wait until after the wedding to tell Michael. I didn't want to ruin the celebration. But I've already written everything down, left evidence with someone trustworthy. I swallowed hard. She's bluffing, trying to protect herself. Lord Alan's face in my vision twisted with rage. He doesn't believe her, calls her a meddling fool, says she should have been content with being queen instead of playing at detective. I could see it all unfolding, the tension in the room, the way they circled each other like fighters sizing each other up. She tells him, 15 years as the king's mentor, and all this time you've been selling him out. She's backing toward the bell pull to summon the guards. My voice dropped lower, but he sees what she's doing. The king made a sound like someone punched him in the gut. 15 years, he whispered. I trusted him for 15 years. Lord Alan moved fast in my vision, faster than I expected for a man his age. 1 second he was by the door, the next he was pulling something from inside his jacket. He's got a dagger, I said, feeling my body tense like I could somehow stop what had already happened. Not just any dagger, it's ceremonial, with the royal crest on the handle. One of yours, Your Majesty. The king nodded. My father gave me a set when I took the throne. They're kept in a locked case in my study. He must have taken it earlier, been planning this. I watched Lord Alan advance on Lady Cathy, the blade glinting in the candlelight. He tells her, No one will question when they find you killed by your husband's own blade. They'll call it a crime of passion. The king discovering his bride wasn't pure. Lady Cathy's face in my vision showed no fear, only disgust. She spits at him, says, Michael will never believe that. And Alan laughs, says, Michael believes what I tell him to believe. He always has. The king made another pained sound. In the corner of my eye, I could see his face going pale, then flushing with anger. But the vision pulled me back in before I could really look at him. Lady Cathy lunged for the bell pull, but Lord Alan was too quick. He caught her arm, yanked her back. The struggle was brief but fierce. She fights him, I said, my voice rising with the tension. Kicks at his legs, claws at his face. She catches him with her nails, right cheek, 3 marks. I could see blood welling from the scratches. He curses, slaps her hard enough to daze her. The real Lord Alan's hand twitched toward his cheek, where the glamour had hidden the scratches. The guards holding him tightened their grip. While she's stunned, he raises the dagger, but she sees it coming, grabs his wrist. My hands mimicked the motion without me meaning to. They struggle for the blade. She's stronger than he expected. In my vision, I could see Lady Cathy's eyes, wide with determination, not fear. She knew she was fighting for her life. During the struggle, she notices something around his neck, a silver locket on a chain. I frowned, focusing harder. She recognizes it. It's important somehow. The king straightened beside me. A silver locket, like the one you mentioned in the court. I nodded, still caught in the vision. She makes a desperate move, lets go of his wrist with one hand to grab the locket instead, yanks it hard, breaks the chain. Lord Alan's face twisted with fury in my vision. He's enraged that she got it, stabs down while she's distracted with the locket. I flinched as the blade sank into Lady Cathy's chest. Felt a phantom pain like it was my own body being pierced. The dagger goes in deep. She gasps, stumbles back. The locket's clutched tight in her hand. I could see blood spreading across the white wedding dress, turning it crimson. She falls to her knees. He stands over her, watching her die. Lady Cathy looked up at her killer with fading eyes. Her lips moved, forming a name. With her last breath, she whispers, "Michael." My voice broke on the name, not calling for help. It's a warning, trying to tell him who betrayed him even as she dies. In my vision, Lord Alan knelt beside her body, pried at her fingers, trying to get the locket, but her hand was clenched tight even in death. He can't get the locket from her hand. He panics, hearing voices in the corridor outside. I watched him straighten up, wipe the dagger on the bedsheets. He rearranges things to look like someone broke in, then slips out through a servant's passage. The vision began to fade, the edges going dark. "That's when I arrived," I said, my voice returning to normal. I'd seen parts of this in an earlier vision, ran to try and help, but I was too late. The guards found me kneeling beside her, trying to stop the bleeding that had already stopped. I blinked, coming back to the tower room. The symbols beneath us had stopped glowing. The king was staring at Lord Alan with such raw hatred it made me shiver. "You were at every council meeting," King Michael said, his voice deadly quiet. "Every strategy session, every private discussion about our defenses." Lord Alan said nothing, but his face had changed. The mask of the loyal advisor had slipped, revealing something cold and calculating beneath. His eyes darted around, looking for escape. "The locket," I said, my throat dry. "It contains proof, letters, payment records, the names of his contacts in Westland." At the mention of the locket, something finally cracked in Lord Alan's composure. His shoulders slumped like a puppet with cut strings. The calculating predator I'd glimpsed in my vision emerged fully now, his lips curling in a snarl of hatred as he glared at me. "She's lying," he hissed. But there was no conviction behind it. We all knew the truth now. The king turned away from him, like he couldn't stand the sight anymore. And in that moment, I saw 15 years of trust crumble to dust. "You've seen enough," he said, his voice all different now. "No more of that smooth, polished talk. Your Majesty, this witch has clouded your mind with her—" "Silence." Michael's voice wasn't loud, but it cut through the room like a blade. "The evidence speaks for itself. The letters behind your portrait, the key in your boot." He stepped closer to Lord Alan. "What I want to know now is how deep this betrayal runs." Lord Alan's mouth twitched. For a second, I thought he might keep lying, but something in the air changed. Maybe it was the tower's magic, or maybe he just knew the game was up. "Deep enough," he finally said, and the words came out almost proud. "You think uncovering one murder solves anything? You're more naive than I thought, Mitchell." The king flinched at hearing his name spoken so casually by a traitor. I could see his knuckles go white around his sword hilt. "Our enemies have everything they need," Lord Alan continued, looking straight at Michael. "Maps, troop positions, guard rotations. The attack will come within days." He smiled, a horrible little twist of his lips. "And there's nothing you can do to stop it now." My stomach dropped. This wasn't just about Lady Cathy's murder or even Lord Alan's greed. This was about the whole kingdom. "Guards," Mihail started to say, turning slightly toward the door. That's when everything happened at once. Lord Alan's hand moved faster than I thought possible. He had another dagger, not the ceremonial one he'd used on Lady Cathy, but something smaller, deadlier, hidden in his sleeve. Before anyone could react, he lunged toward me. I scrambled back in my chair, nearly tipping over. The wooden legs scraped against the stone floor. There wasn't anywhere to go in that tower room. No space to dodge. His eyes locked on mine, full of hate, and I knew he meant to silence me for good. But Michael was faster. I didn't even see him move. One second he was standing 3 feet away, the next his sword flashed in the light from the windows. There was a sound, wet and solid at the same time, and Lord Alan jerked to a stop like a puppet with cut strings. He looked down, surprised, at the blade buried in his chest, right through the heart. Blood bloomed across his fancy embroidered coat. "You always did have quick reflexes," Lord Alan whispered, and coughed up something red and frothy. Michael's face was stone. "And you always underestimated me." Lord Alan's knees gave out. Michael didn't catch him, just withdrew his sword with a single smooth motion. Lord Alan collapsed at my feet, his blood pooling on those glowing symbols etched into the floor. I pulled my skirts back, not wanting them stained. The dying man looked up at me, and damned if he didn't smile again. A bloody, terrible smile. "You think you've won something," he rasped. His breathing was all wet and ragged now. "But they know everything. The northern wall, weaker than it should be. I had the mortar, mixed wrong. The captain of the eastern gate, in their pocket. The secret passage beneath the chapel." He coughed again, harder. 15 years I've been feeding them, everything. Michael knelt beside him, grabbing his collar. Who are you working with?" Lord Alan just laughed, a gurgling sound that made my skin crawl. "Too late for you to matter." His gaze drifted back to me. "And you, witch, your visions won't save them." His body went slack. His eyes stayed open, staring at nothing, that smile still frozen on his face. The tower room went quiet, except for Mitchell's heavy breathing and my own heart pounding in my ears. The symbols on the floor pulsed brighter where Lord Alan's blood touched them, like they were drinking it in. "He would have killed you," Michiel said after a moment, not looking at me. "I couldn't let that happen." I nodded, though he wasn't watching. "I know." My mind was racing. The northern wall, the eastern gate, the secret passage, all those little details Lord Alan had just confessed with his dying breath. If even half of what he said was true, the kingdom wasn't just facing a threat, it was already compromised from the inside out. Then it hit me. If I hadn't had my vision, if I hadn't been able to see Lady Cathy's murder and trace it back to Lord Alan, none of this would have come to light. The attack would have come, and no one would have known about the weakened defenses or the turncoat captain. My gift hadn't just saved me from execution, it might have saved the entire realm. Michael finally turned to look at me. There was blood spattered across his face, but he didn't seem to notice. His eyes had a new intensity when they met mine. "Your visions," he said. "Can you control them? See specific things?" I hesitated. No one had ever asked me that before. Most folks just called me witch and kept their distance. "Not exactly," I answered honestly. "They come when they want. But..." I glanced down at the glowing floor, then back at him. "Something about this place makes them stronger, clearer." Michael nodded slowly, thinking. "We need to move quickly. Lord Alan may have been lying about the attack timeline to frighten us, but we can't take that chance." He stood up straighter. Victoria Mason. It was the first time he'd said my full name without contempt. I got to my feet too, my legs still shaky. "The charges against you are dropped. All of them." His voice took on that formal tone again, the one he used for official proclamations. "Furthermore, I hereby appoint you Royal Oracle, advisor to the crown on matters of foresight and prophecy." I blinked, sure I'd misheard him. "Your Majesty." "We need your gift, Victoria. The kingdom needs it." He gestured to Lord Alan's body. "If what he said is true, we face threats I cannot see coming. But perhaps you can." Royal Oracle, the title hung in the air between us. No one had held that position in over 100 years, not since the days when magic was more common. I'd gone from condemned prisoner to royal advisor in the space of a day. "I'll do what I can," I said, because what else could I say? My gift had always been a curse, something that marked me as different, dangerous. But now, for the first time, it might actually be useful. Michael nodded once, decisive. "Then we have work to do." The silver chains fell away from my wrists, clattering to the stone floor of the Tower of Truth. My skin tingled where they'd bit into me for hours, leaving angry red welts behind. Before I could even rub at the marks, someone was sliding golden bracelets over my hands, smooth, cool metal that caught the light from the glowing symbols beneath our feet. The royal oracle must be marked as such, Michael said. Not King Michael in that moment, just Michael, a man who'd nearly lost everything to betrayal. His eyes kept darting to Lord Alan's body, sprawled there with blood still pooling around him. I touched one of the bracelets. Never thought I'd go from prison chains to royal jewelry in one day. Neither did I, Mikhail admitted. The body of Lord Alan, no, Liam Allen, lay between us like the physical embodiment of 15 years of lies. The ceremonial dagger that had killed Lady Cathy was still clutched in his stiffening hand. Seemed fitting somehow that the same weapon he'd used to murder an innocent woman had been so close when justice finally caught up with him. We need to move, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. Liam's dead, but his spy network isn't. He said the attack is coming, and he wasn't lying about that. Michael nodded, finally looking away from his former advisor's corpse. How do we find them all? There could be dozens scattered throughout the castle, the army, even among my personal guards. I knew what he was asking. The weight of it settled on me heavier than any chains had. Just hours ago, I'd been on my knees waiting for execution. Now the kingdom's safety hung on my visions, the same visions that had branded me an outcast my whole life. I'll need to see them, I said, one by one, if I have to. A guard knocked and entered, his eyes widening at the scene, his king standing over a dead noble, and me wearing golden bracelets instead of chains. Your Majesty, he stammered. The royal guard captain is requesting instructions regarding the situation. Michael straightened his shoulders. Tell him Lord Alan has been executed for treason and the murder of Lady Cathy. Lady Victoria is now royal oracle and under my direct protection. The guard's eyes flicked to me, then back to Michael. I could read his thoughts clear as day. The witch who'd been dragged in for execution that morning was now wearing royal insignia. Yes, Your Majesty. He bowed stiffly and backed out. Word will spread fast, I said after the door closed. Anyone connected to Liam will be trying to escape or cover their tracks. Or accelerate whatever plans they had in motion. Michael ran a hand through his hair. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes, trying to focus my gift. The symbols on the floor seemed to pulse beneath my feet, sending tingling sensations up through my body. The tower was old magic, older than the kingdom itself, folks said. Maybe it recognized something in me. I see, I began, letting the images flow. 3 men in the barracks packing their things. One's a captain with a scar across his nose. They're talking about signals and routes east. Michael was already moving toward the door. Captain Thorne, I trusted him with border patrols for years. I grabbed his arm. Wait, there's more. The royal kitchens, a woman with gray hair tied back. She's adding something to the wine barrels for tonight's council meeting. My head pounded as the visions kept coming, sharper and more immediate than ever before. Names and faces flooded my mind, each connected to Liam's web of treachery. I saw messengers ready to ride, guards prepared to open gates, servants placing listening devices in royal chambers. It's everywhere, I whispered, opening my eyes. Liam built this over years. Every department, every level of the court. Mikhail's face had gone pale. Can you see them all? I nodded slowly. I think so. The tower has changed something in me. The visions are clearer, more controlled. My legs trembled as I got up, partly from exhaustion and partly from the enormity of what lay ahead. Just that morning, I'd been dragged from a dungeon cell to face execution. Now I stood as royal oracle, with golden bracelets where chains had been. Life's funny that way sometimes. One minute you're certain your throat's about to meet steel. The next you're advising a king on how to save his kingdom. If my mother could see me now, she who'd hidden my curse all those years, telling me to never let anyone know what I could see. Strange, isn't it? I said as we walked toward the door. All my life, these visions made me an outsider. People called me witch, demon-touched, cursed. My own father couldn't look me in the eye after the first time I predicted a death. Michael glanced at me. And now? And now they're the only thing standing between this kingdom and whatever Liam set in motion. I laughed, a short, dry sound. The curse became the blessing, though I doubt folks will see it that way right off. They will, Michael said with unexpected gentleness, when you save their lives. We descended the winding tower stairs, leaving Liam's body behind. Guards were already rushing past us, heading to intercept the traitors I'd identified. Servants pressed themselves against the walls as we passed, their eyes wide at the sight of me walking freely beside their king. I touched the golden bracelets, still not quite believing they were there. The weight of them was nothing compared to the weight of responsibility I now carried. Every traitor we missed could mean countless deaths. Every vision I failed to interpret clearly might leave a gap in the kingdom's defenses. Ready? Michiel asked as we reached the bottom of the stairs. I nodded, though readiness had nothing to do with it. I hadn't been ready to be accused of murder that morning, hadn't been ready to kneel for execution, hadn't been ready to become royal oracle. But here I was all the same. Let's root out these traitors, I said. Liam might be dead, but his shadow still stretches across your court. As we stepped into the castle proper, I realized that the gift I'd hidden and feared for so long had become more than my salvation. It was now the kingdom's strongest defense against the enemies hiding in plain sight. The irony wasn't lost on me. What had once marked me for death now marked me for duty.